Now, as a parish priest, one of the things I hear pastorally over and over and over again is, I hate my job. Heard anybody say that? And when you think about it, most people spend more hours at work than with their families. For sure, more hours at work than at church. And sad to say, I've even heard a lot of priests say, I hate my job, when they're with someone that they can feel confident and secure enough to be that honest. Now, it's not the priesthood they hate. It's the administration and the expectations and the politics and all the things that are attached into the real task of priesthood. So there's no doubt that work, we talked yesterday about industrial growth society, that part of our task at hand might be, for some of us, for some of you, to create some new work models, some new way of thinking about work, about productivity. Putting our soul back in work, which was lost maybe in the whole idea of the assembly line and the Industrial Revolution. Association of pride with work, with creativity at work, of employee participation and employee voice. One of the things that we are trying to do, and as I said yesterday, that since our parish moved to its downtown location, over 100 jobs have been created. And so we've tried to hold up some core values that, while yes, there's a boss and someone's in charge, but there's participation. There's more of a circular, more feminine essence and nature of people taking pride in their work and being able to participate with their work. And even the exchange of duties so that there's an understanding of the different aspects and more of a holistic way of rather than just my specialized piece, if that makes any sense. I think it's real work that if we're going to be serious about the resurrection of the soul of our culture, this is work that has to be done, the reinvention of work. I actually think that we need to talk about the reinvention of education. I think it bubbled up yesterday a little bit how that a lot of our rootedness came from the educational system, where we started to be pushed into a box and required to only mark within the lines and the boundaries. So, Maria Montessori said that in the traditional school model, and this is so important, listen what she says. Maria Montessori says that in the traditional school model, she believes that almost all the creativity of the child is stifled by the 3rd grade. Well, in that spirit of creativity and the Devar, the Spirit of God, is the same thing. Look what we're doing. Now, I hate to use personal stories, but it's all I've got. I have a daughter, her name is Skylar, and she's in university at the moment. When she was in 3rd grade, the teacher called me in, and the teacher said, we're going to put Skylar in special education. And I said, why? And in a politically correct way, the teacher just said, she's slow. She's not very smart. I was surprised by that. I knew Skylar was a unique child, but I was surprised by that. And her mother and I discussed long and hard about it, and we said no. Skylar graduated high school 10th out of 800 students. She was the top female out of 800 graduating seniors. She worked all the way through high school, was president of her dance team, was president of the Honor Society, and got a full academic scholarship in physics. And she was one cut away from being a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.
An astronaut and a ballerina.
An astronaut and a ballerina. But I think you get my point. Okay. The system almost squished her soul and her spirit. I've got a 10-year-old Nicholas. He's got a head full of curly hair. And first grade, the teacher called us in and said, he has to go to summer school. And, to start with, you don't know when to fight or not fight. But we looked at his grades, and they were all good. But yet, the perception onto him that he does not fit in. He needs to go to summer school. So we sent him to a summer school, and he came up the first day, and another teacher then said to me, why is he in summer school? He said he had to or he'd not go to the second grade. That has continued, but yet now that he's actually getting new merit scores, he just finished his fourth grade. And I look at his test, 98, 99, 100, 98, 99, 100, 98, 99, 100. Then you go to the teachers' meetings and they go, he's really not doing very well. It's just a real disconnect. And so he's at the grade where in Georgia, a major standardized test. And he did 99.8 percentile of the whole country. And they keep trying to put him back. And I thought about this long and hard about how you want to know some repressed people in our educational system. It's the folk that might be the most creative and intelligent and alive. And in a sense, they almost become the outcasts. Our structures, someone needs to come up and dream and have the courage to say there has to be a new way to do things so that we don't stifle our gifted, our creative, our imaginative. That the human soul is not reduced and made sure that it sits in the desk properly and colors between the lines, but it's given permission to soar. The reinvention of education. We talked yesterday about how suburban culture has reduced the soul. If we're going to talk about resurrecting the soul, then I think we need to be serious about reinventing our cities. There is a soullessness to suburban culture, in my opinion. I think there's very much an urban spirituality and a natural spirituality, but there's a bankruptcy of spirit in suburban culture that I think should be addressed. I feel nothing. My heart is not warmed when I go in a big box store, Butler building, fluorescent lights. Do you understand my point? In contrast to beautiful aesthetic buildings and structures that were designed and built to lift the spirit and the soul. When you go down a major highway and the billboards and the signs, and there's nothing that lifts the human spirit and soul. We talked yesterday about privacy fences and garage door openers and getting into our cars, the loss of the front porch, the loss of any type of pedestrian way. Now I know our folk that maybe live in the big cities have a sense of this, I hope. But the suburban lifestyle, the loss of any type of multi-use, human-scale way of living, of neighborhood, of community, of diversity, of live, work, play. So if we're going to resurrect the human spirit, the place we live has to be an important ministry and calling to us. We don't just say, come be free. We have to reinvent the space where we live so for the soul to be lifted. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fourthly, and this will probably happen not because that we're creative, but it will happen because we'll have no choice. But we really have to talk about the reinvention of church. I'm hesitant to talk about this with my bishop here now. But one of the gifts that we've had at Christ the King is that we were not the official canterbury funded by the diocese. So guess what that allowed us to do?
Whatever you wanted.
To be creative. Now it would have been nice to have had that money. But we had to be creative because we didn't have it.
You would have been as free if you had money. To be as creative.
I think as clergy people, we're under a real taxing time. Because that we've kind of got one foot in the old era, and we're expected to keep those and maintain that paradigm. Yeah. Sunday school for all ages. Full office hours, even though nobody shows up. You could add to that list, and add to that list, and add to that list. But then at the same time, we're being forced with less funding and in a culture that is really not a Christian culture anymore, to be relevant and to work in a new paradigm, all at the same time. No wonder we're tired, huh? Someone came up and talked about clergy in their diocese being ill and sick and collapsing. This is a lot to bear. So as we care for our personal souls, sometimes we have to make the hard choices of, okay, I know I'm going to be embarrassed to say that we do not have Sunday school for all ages, that we have one intergenerational class. But you know what? That may be the best choice.